And we are live. Yes, it is another episode of Hangin from the Rafters, another magical Saturday night at 8. I hope we have some people tuned in or should be tuning in. Sometimes people just sort of trickle in, and that's all right. So before we start, I would like to say that the pandemic has created difficult times for a lot of restaurants, music venues, taverns, pretty much businesses of all kind and all people. So we look sometimes for donations to help the show go and to help run the tavern. And if you would like to donate to Rafters Tavern, you can do so by going to this site, www.venmo.com/rafters-tavern. Once again, www.venmo.com/rafters-tavern. I'll probably hold this up one more time before the end of the show. That being said, I'm going to move over to my desk. I feel like Mr. Rogers right now. Like I should be changing my shoes or putting on a sweater. Kids, tonight's guests are prolific songwriters. Absolutely fantastic. They are regular attendees of the open mic, especially the virtual one that we've been doing every Sunday since the pandemic started. And hopefully within either this week or next, we will start to bring it back home here to Rafters Tavern. But they write amazing songs. You are going to love what they do. And let's see what makes them tick. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Poison Love. I'll have to add more applause. They're still coming. By the way, for people in the audience, you probably can't see it, but if you see that I'm actually sweating, it's because I was cooking all day just before this in the back. So I still am a little warm up here. Also, you'll notice that we are separated by plastic. I point that out to say that it's safe for us to talk here, pandemic-style interviewing. Hello, Poison Love.
Hello,
hey,
Brewster.
Would you guys please introduce yourselves for the audience?
Shall I start?
You shall start.
I'm Joanne Brinkerhoff.
Dan Brinkerhoff, this is my wife.
And I'm
This
Tom
is my
Steerhart,
husband.
and I play percussion for the band. Joanne's the songwriter. She does a great job. There's like 10 new songs for today. We'll only get to 6 of them. But she played probably 10 new ones today.
Well, I'm sure she's writing one every 5 minutes, and they're all fantastic. So before we get to some questions that I have for you guys, I would love to start off with a song. What are you going to play for us first?
We're going to play a song called Bottom of the Blues. And I wrote this actually before this whole pandemic thing, but I've heard it likened this whole quarantine months and months to like Groundhog Day, every day getting up and it's the same. And so this song just seemed appropriate because it kind of addresses that. I wrote it during a very long winter that didn't end.
But it did end.
It did end, and this pandemic will end. And we'll all be out and about again.
All right.
Slowly but surely. Very fun.
When it rains, it pours.
guess I hit the bottom of the blue.
Every night I close my eyes and I dream floating above the stormy clouds and I think that's where I'm when I'm up and I've had a cup and I'm walking out the door, here comes the pain, it's back again, like the day before. It couldn't
Rain any harder, it couldn't get any darker, it couldn't grow any colder, I couldn't feel any older, it couldn't last any longer, I couldn't hurt any stronger. I guess I hit the bottom of the blue.
You know, I wonder why I stand up here, listen to my wife make mistakes on the guitar. But when I think about it, I'm not moaning, feeling blue. So if you're sad and feeling bad, maybe your hamster died today. The poison love says coming up, send you on your way, and it couldn't rain.
Rain any harder, it couldn't get any darker, it couldn't grow any colder, I couldn't feel any older, it couldn't last any longer, I couldn't hurt any stronger. I guess I hit the bottom of the blue. I guess I hit the bottom of the blue. Nice touch.
Like that, there's some applause there.
Nice touch.
And
policy always
and
after
a horn. So before we continue, let me ask, I need some help from the audience now. Anybody watching? We were not able to do a sound check because I was cooking and we were really tight on time. Please type in how the sound sounds, if there's anything that should come up or come down. Anything too loud, too soft.
Not that you can do anything with.
Well, we could play softer or play
We
louder.
have no answers yet, but I will tell you that Allison Smith says, hi, Grandpa and Daddy. Smiths are watching. Camilla
California.
says, hi, Joanne, your old friend Camille is here.
Okay.
Oh,
And Lucas Rotman says, no hamsters were harmed in the singing of this.
Lucas Robin. He was on here first.
Hi, Lucas.
Okay, well, do me a favor, all you people in the audience. Feel no compunction about doing it. If you decide that the music could be different, something louder, something softer, please type in and let us know so that we can make those adjustments on the fly. So you might notice that I'm eating some popcorn here, which Dan and Joanne and these guys, they know that is my favorite food of all time. And this particular popcorn, I think, was made by one of Dan's inventions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Dan is, to me, he's kind of like Back to the Future. He could invent the flux capacitor if anybody could. And he is the inventor about town. Could you tell us a little bit about some of your inventions, including the popcorn maker?
Well, I think that's a hard one, but there's a lot of, they're always, the deal is they're always low tech, humorous, community oriented.
Mhm.
So, so I made a drive-in movie theater that was a truck that drove in, and I made a giant animated sign for the Wayne County Arts Alliance that was animated by water, shifting weight of water, and this whole 10-foot wide sign would tip back and forth with pumps and all this kind of funny silliness.
Automated wheelchairs.
Is that kind of like what did they used to have, that bird that kind of went like
It's
this?
kind of not like that.
Okay.
No, that wasn't at all like what I did. But, yeah, then I have something we've had tons of fun with, which I'll have out again, is I got a $100 wheelchair, the kind that's for max out at 650 pounds for one person.
Mm-hmm.
So then I figured that'll take some weight, so I put a car seat on it, and now we put 900 pounds on it. Doesn't even bother it. And we have our band. Thomas stands on the back, and my wife and I sit on the car seat. It's a little pickup truck now.
Oh wow!
And then we can drive in parades or fundraisers.
We actually did
walkathons.
drive in a parade.
Yeah.
Did you? Which parade?
We
was it?
we drove it in the Trout Parade a couple of years ago in Livingston Manor.
Oh wow!
While we were
that
playing.
was really fun stuff. Getting things for cheap and making something useful. That's
So
what
do
I
you
love.
have an invention that you have made that you're most proud of, or do you?
Well, I think I'm always trying to like have I feel I do what needs to be done, even though I say I make unnecessary things. And Josh Fox's movie Gasland was showed for the first time. Showed, is that correct?
Shown.
Showed for the first time on my movie theater. In Narrowsburg, there were 200
Wow.
people there, and I just felt like I mattered. Something that I did mattered. And there was, of course, nobody gave a crap about who made the movie theater. I was the only one that even knew I did it.
Only the movie.
Yeah, it's all about
But
the
you
movie.
did make
and
popcorn. You
I
made
made
popcorn for
that
everybody.
day.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was a magical night.
And how about the theme song that you did for the movie?
Yeah, that's right. I learned that in Arizona. When I went out there, we were playing in a bar, and we didn't know any of these musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I wrote the theme song for the Gasland movie, and that's my fiddle in there. And then for the next 3 months, they wouldn't stop teasing me for bragging. And I just learned my lesson. Never, ever do that. Just be humble, keep your head down, play your music.
And make your
Because-
inventions.
Because in the West, it's not like here, people say, yes, I went to this school and I did this and that. But out there, boy, cowboys, they're creamy for that. And I'm from there, but I had forgotten that, it's a different culture.
He's
And
been Easternized.
yes, I have been Easternized, but I love the Western perspective, and they're wildflowers. They're not roses. They're wildflowers. It doesn't matter where you grow. Your education doesn't really matter one fucking bit. It's what you do and who you are.
FCC regulations.
No,
That's all right. You can use the language here.
I told Rooster to tell Caswin last week, I think it was.
That's
So
right.
I've taken license.
All right.
I'm not sure if there's any children in the audience, but it's.
Yeah, I have a couple grandchildren in SoCal that are listening.
Well,
In San Diego.
Oh, nice.
this is-
Well, now
it's
their
good
ears
for
are burning,
them. What can I say?
and they're learning new words here this evening.
That's Jackson and Henry.
What is your next song for us?
Shall I do it?
Yeah, please do.
So,
Joanne wrote all of these songs we're doing.
So this song is about kind of social distancing and what's come out of it. How we all are afraid to be close to each other right now, and I think it's changed our mindset. So I don't know. Sitting around in quarantine, I wrote this song called "The Distance."
Yeah, these are all pretty new, so there's not all the good
I didn't want to.
parts or anything. Okay, that's
Wrong
the
key.
note.
We got to be in the right key. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
high hilltop, it's a long ride. To the valley down below. Near and far as the stars, no matter where you are. To the distance I will go. In a deep mine, it's a to the high peaks of snow. Here and there, I don't care, it doesn't matter. To the distance I will go. For you, I go the distance, no matter where you are. I go the distance, so near and so far. But I can't see your smile or feel your warm touch even while you're reaching out to me from a distance. On a dark night, it's a long ride to the breaking of the dawn. Now and then, in the end, it doesn't matter. To the distance I will go. For you, I go the distance, no matter where you are. I go the distance, so near and so far. But I can't see your smile or feel your warm touch even while I'm reaching out to you from a distance. You're reaching out to me from a distance.
Right, you gotta have sound effects, right? I could have used.
Do you have a laugh machine as well?
He's got it.
I got it all here. At
I
least.
hope you don't have a boo machine.
That is a boo right there, wasn't it?
Well, of course, that's another great song. And maybe, when I was listening to that, I was thinking of the idea of perfect harmony. And then I was thinking of relationships. And I know that with Molly and I'm sort of an idea guy. She's an idea gal too, but she's much more structured about it. And I'm just kind of a mess. So I was wondering, you guys as a couple, you play so beautifully together musically. Does that extend to your entire relationship, or is it rockier?
Well, it's usually rocky when we're playing music at home together, because when we're practicing alone, we can really get heated.
Yeah, I think it's normal.
Right.
What,
But-
you get heated when you're practicing alone?
We do.
Yeah.
When we're
because,
practicing together, because, he wants to do it this way, I want to do it that way. And then we, this key, that key. I want to do this song. No, let's play this song. And then we get into a tiff.
So how do you usually? Well, look, when we get the finished product, like we're hearing tonight, it's nothing but beautiful. So
Yes.
in the end, maybe that rockiness is a good thing. But how do you come out of the storm? How does it usually work out so that you create beautiful music? Does one person win more than the other, or do you figure a way to compromise?
Well, I have an opinion about that. That in quantum physics, everything exists at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just take the frustration or bickering or whatever that exists when you're playing, and now you're performing, And, that would be really stupid to do that in front of people.
Right, but I think
So
some of
then-
that tension helps in the performance,
It
actually.
absolutely does. You work out all of your foolishness, your immaturity, your loud voice,
Frustration.
frustration, all of those things.
Wrong chords that he always gets on my case about.
All of it.
Or bad phrasing that I get on your case about.
So it's called being dynamic, right? Like we're not just calm people.
We're not very nice,
all.
actually, even though we might appear that way.
Yeah.
So-
Thomas is exactly.
So, Joanne, what would you say, in your opinion, one of Dan's greatest strengths is?
One of his greatest strengths, I think, is the fact that no matter what happens, he always keeps a sense of humor
Yeah.
about things, and he has amazing creativity to solve problems. So when something comes up, I'll usually get crazy and go ballistic, and he will laugh about it and come up with a solution, a crazy solution that I would never even think about. But
All right. Well, I'm not gonna ask about his weakness because I like the rainbow we're traveling on right now. So, Dan, what is one of Joanne's greatest strengths in your opinion?
Well, she knows people. Being from Brooklyn, she was raised with people, and she's taught me worlds about people and judgment, proper ways to interact, because I would just give everything away. And you think that's a good thing, but it's not. And it costs everybody. So, my wife she's an executive, right? So she knows people and she can handle anything. And I don't know what that IQ is in there, but it's scary.
So she has a scary IQ.
It's a scary IQ.
I can see on camera that you're holding your violin directly in front of your face. There we go.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
he's shy.
My wife and Thomas, let's not leave Thomas out of this.
Absolutely.
Because he's got,
So now you both have to say what Thomas's greatest strength is.
Okay.
Thomas is a passionate nurturer. And he's been our tech guy, which is a lot of behind the scenes, unsung kind of behavior.
And
But
he's
Thomas
also
is a master in many, many things.
and the heartbeat of our music, because so many times, Dan and I, especially these last 3 months, we've been playing alone in quarantine and putting up things online, just the two of us. And the songs take on a whole new dimension and meaning when you add the percussion to it. It deepens it. It changes the song. I mean, for the better. It really does.
Yeah,
And
very
we're
much.
so grateful to be
Except
able
there's
to
that
be
one
together
song.
again. Just that one.
That one.
The one song is totally screwed up now.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
gotta work on that.
So what have you for us next?
Okay, we have another written in quarantine song. This was early on. I think it was like in late March. Actually, we quarantined ourselves before we were told to.
You just wanted to escape society?
No, we played a gig. I think it was March 8th, right?
October
Thomas?
8th, I'm March 8th.
March 8th, and we were very uncomfortable because there was a lot of stuff going around at that time about the virus, and I was very uncomfortable at that last gig. And then we came home, and I put a note up on Facebook that we were canceling all of our future gigs, and I got some flack from people about that, like, why are you doing that? And then within a week, everything started closing down. So anyway, we were pretty well holed up for 3 months. And this song I wrote early on because I was wondering if we were ever going to come out of this thing. So anyway,
What's it called?
it's called Dream Again Tomorrow.
I really like this one very much. I mean, the lyrics to me, they were so perfect. And when Joanne writes songs, I mean, she doesn't revise a thing. Nothing. I come home that night, it's completely finished.
You ever see that movie Amadeus?
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite movies of all time, and they say his music had no corrections.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just one time through, and that was it.
But I also remember the criticism, I think it was by the King or something, who said it was too many notes.
Are you saying this song has too many notes?
No.
No, I don't think so.
We'll leave it for the audience to decide. Does this song have too many notes?
One.
Once upon a time, we told a different story. Only happy ending, filled with hope, love, and glory. The Lord was paid to go. Dreams were ours to have and hold. We didn't know the time we had was long. Too many dreams that just won't die. I can't rest upon my pillow. How many seeds are left to lie on this hard and fallow ground? I've got to find a way to hold my breath, and come what may, I'll pause because I'll dream again tomorrow. Our glass is full, the world it keeps on turning. Who will have the answers to the questions we're still learning? We're riders on the storm, shelter down and carry on and make our way through all the pain and sorrow. Too many dreams that just won't die. I can't rest upon my pillow. So many seeds are left to lie on this hard and fallow ground. I've got to find a way to hold my breath, come what may. I'll pause because I'll dream again tomorrow. I'll pause because I'll dream again tomorrow. I'll pause because I'll dream again
Another winner. It's a beautiful tune.
Thank you.
Made all the better by that sound.
Yeah. That sounds good to anybody.
Isn't that annoying?
It's great. So you guys know each other pretty well. All three of you know each other pretty well.
Yes. we've
I have a
been
couple of
friends for a long
questions,
time.
and then I'm going to maybe open it up to the audience and see
Okay.
if they have questions. However, my question is this, since you know each other so well, which one of you is most likely to go skydiving?
I know the answer to that.
Well, and
Do
speak
you know
up.
the answer?
Okay, Dan, because he's a risk taker,
What do you think? Have you ever been interested in it?
No, I'm not interested in it.
and I'm not interested.
I have very much been interested in it.
Okay, so the answer is Dan. Dan is the one most likely to go skydiving. Next question. Which one of you would be more likely to partake of a bowl of mealworms? Which one of you would be most likely to take
I think Thomas has it.
The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is Thomas would eat a bowl full of mealworms. Let that be noted.
Just take a look at it.
The last question that I have is, this is not a political question. I'm not bringing politics up in any way, but I would just like to say, which one of you would be most likely to be voted president of the United States?
Thomas.
Well, Thomas has the brain power.
Yeah.
You know.
And Thomas has the organizational
He has-
skills.
I thought Joanne had the high IQ. That's what Dan was saying.
Well,
Well, that's why I wouldn't be
they're
present.
different kinds. It's a different IQ, different kind of IQ. But
Well
Joanne
said.
would be
I think Joanne has my vote already.
because she would get hysterical and start yelling at leaders
No, I
No.
think Thomas has
No,
the
Thomas.
wherewithal and the presence
and the power.
the social
He wouldn't fold up. Right?
skills. Right.
If he met with Trump in a debate, Thomas would win.
Yes.
All
He
right.
really would.
He's got a will of iron.
All right. Now let's see from the audience. Does anybody have a question? I'm not sure I see anybody. Molly, is anybody typing in there?
No, we don't have any questions.
Not one question.
Regarding songs, the sound, Lucas said the violin needs a little adjusting.
In what direction?
Doesn't say.
Does it? Lucas, give us a clue here. Does the violin need to be louder or softer?
And it wasn't the last song, but the one before that Maya Minwa said, thanks for playing my favorite new song.
Oh, that was the
From a
distance, I
distance,
think. Yeah.
That's-
Maya says
that
from
was
a distance.
bit tinny,
A bit
but she
tin.
liked it.
A bit tinny. Well, unfortunately, that is the way that the computer that we're running this whole thing
It's not the
goes
band.
through. Things are sometimes a little tinny. It is not the band. That is our technical difficulty. Okay, so we'll get back to the audience, see if they have any questions. Think about it, type in, and what will you play for us next?
So the next song is about this. It just seemed appropriate to play tonight, coming out of this mess that we've been in, because everybody's missing a lot of people, and we're just now starting to see people after many, many months. So this one is called "Sometimes I Miss You," and I originally wrote it because, you know, Dan and I have families that are all over the globe, and we don't see them very often. My son and his family live in India, actually. They would have been here for the summer, and now they're not. So I was just thinking about how much we're all missing people. Thomas's family is in California. Dan's is in North Carolina and California and upstate. But that does it. You know, distance doesn't matter right now, because you know, you could be 100 miles or 1,000 miles, and you're still missing people. So anyway.
Almost.
What's the name of this one?
Sometimes I miss you.
Sometimes I Miss You.
Okay?
Yeah.
Another day has come along. I'm scared. Another night is laid to rest, and I have done my best to get a step ahead or two. I had to get away from you, but this day has been too long, and there's something very wrong. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more than ever before. Another day that's not so bad. Sometimes another night that's way too late. I didn't have to wait to feel that deep blue coming through. I thought my heart would break in two. Gotta find another way. There's just no easy way to say sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more than ever before. Gotta find a daylight near. I got to hold back bitter tears. Gotta smile and look ahead, but instead, sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more than ever before. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you. I miss you more. Sometimes I miss you. Sometimes I miss you more than ever before.
I always love that tune.
Thank you, Jesus.
See it always
Sorry?
works.
As does
As
Camille.
is Camille.
Oh,
And I have some questions.
yes.
The first one comes from, from Camille. What comes first for Joanne, the lyrics or the melody?
Oh, I
What comes
knew-
first for Joanne, the lyrics or the melody? Question from Camille.
Yes, I knew somebody was going to ask that question. I thought it would be you, actually, Brewster. But I have to say that I don't know, and it's really because it's different for every song. I mean, there might be sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm humming something, and it's like a recurrent little piece of something, and I'm not sure if it's something I heard on the radio or if it's something my brain is creating. So I'll actually get up and go to the bathroom and hum it on my little recorder just so I don't forget about it. And that might develop into a song eventually. But other times I just get a phrase or something and that I want to build around, and then I create the melody from that. So it's always different. It's never
So
the same.
what you're saying is 50% of the music you write is done in the bathroom.
A lot of it is done in the bathroom, but a lot of it is also done in my car, going from here to there. And also a big place to write songs is dog walking. I find that that's really an inspiration.
That seems like it would be relaxing. I would
Yeah.
say.
You know, walking through the woods or just taking that hour to just kind of get away from everything else, and things will come into my head. So, yeah. But it's not always one or the other. And sometimes it's both simultaneously. So there's no rhyme or reason.
No rhyme or reason.
That's the good thing.
I know I can't stop eating this popcorn though.
How is it?
It's delicious, and the thing is I don't recall ever seeing. Not that I'm comparing myself to Stephen Colbert or David Letterman or anybody like that, but I've never seen them sit there and eat popcorn throughout the show.
Well,
So-
this could start a trend.
This could start a new trend.
I'll give you a lifetime supply of that because of what you've done for this community.
That would be magical.
Yes.
Now, Thomas,
Yes.
give me two things that you feel are very important to you in life.
Where I live, we created a space that is really like a sanctuary. So that's the most important because it's all good for both the physical and mental health. And the next thing would be my minois. That's the love of my life. That is really very much an angel. And
Wow.
because I'm really strong-minded and willed, and she's the one that can keep me kind of, from veering too far. And it's really, really, I'm so grateful for this time in my life to have the opportunity to play with these guys. I mean, with Dan and Joanne here, this is just, it's fabulous. And I feel, because we're so close, obviously you can see how close we're sitting today. it's really an honor to see the love that they share, and they allow me to observe. Even the audience doesn't really see that. And Brewster, you've been on stage. It's very intimate in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And it's just an honor to always be with them. And I don't know, we're going on like 9 years or something. It's been quite some time. So
So you sound like a pretty happy guy right now.
yeah, I am. It's just my main goal is just to be support, and it's just a joy. It's a joy. So thank you for having us here, Brewster.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. I mean, it's my honor. Now, Dan, name one or two qualities that you value in others.
I really like people that are multilingual, that have done work to learn other languages, because I think it expands the mind so much, and I've always admired that.
Does Pig Latin count? Or
In your case, that's
I make the grade with Pig Latin. All right, I don't feel so bad.
I'll say that's a high accomplishment. And then the other one, I always admire people that are not a product of their environment, and none of us, the three of us sitting here, are. And that means you haven't been accepted the conditioning of your environment, basically. And I don't want to get into all that, but that's a life struggle right there. So
That's a whole other show, Brewster.
yeah,
It's a whole other show.
That's a whole other show. He could go on about that.
All right. Well, then, Joanne, I have one question for you.
Yes.
Where were you born?
In Brooklyn, New York.
In Brooklyn, New York. And what is your fondest memory of a childhood in Brooklyn?
Well, my fondest memory.
So many.
No, it's the friends that I've made. I always felt growing up there that I was kind of a fish out of water, because I never liked being in a city environment. My parents would pack up every summer when school closed, and we'd usually go away for most of the summer. And I was determined at some point that I would leave the city completely, because I just never liked, being in a noisy, close environment. But the relationships, like Dan always says, I know people, but it's because of the relationships that I formed as a kid with all my friends. So someone is actually listening in tonight, who asked one of the questions before. Hi, Camille. And Camille was like one of my very first friends from elementary school. And,
Wow.
We've lost touch over the years, and then reconnected during this whole stay-at-home thing. And that was kind of a really amazing experience, because I connected with a few people that I hadn't seen or spoken to in many years. And it's almost like, you never left each other. You just kind of pick up where you left off. So that, to me, growing up in Brooklyn, that's the closeness of relationships is what I remember most fondly.
Okay. Well, before your next song, and I will say, I think you're right about that. Maybe some of you out there have found that during this pandemic, once you're stripped of all the things that, certainly not everything, but when you're stripped of so much that you can have or that you wanted to have, it really kind of focuses on what's important. And relationships are one of the most important things. At least for me, it's come that way, and it seems like for you too.
Yeah.
And before the next tune, just a quick commercial break. Just reminding folks, I said I'd do it, and here it is again. If you would like to donate to Rafters Tavern to help this music venue keep going during the pandemic and survive, you can do so. Certainly not obligated, but it's www.venmo.com/Rafters-Tavern. So that is the only commercial break there is. And I'm looking forward to hearing another Poison Love tune.
Brewster, you have to point the camera on that, though. It's asking for money.
What is it?
see, this is a horn of plenty,
It's a horn of plenty.
and see, it's
A horn of plenty.
We used it in Arizona.
All right, we have to take a look at this. Camera is moving. Let's see. That is the horn of plenty.
We could double our tips with
It's an empty horn right now.
I am just seeing that now. That is hilarious.
It's a
All
silly
right.
invention, but actually there's a remote control car in that box, and it just bumps it and makes it move. But we really did double our tips. Including bars.
That's great. I didn't know that tonight there would be animatronics, and this would be like I feel like I'm at Disney or something like that. Like
Well, the horn of plenty is such a funky, corny symbol, And I'm working on the golden fleece. I'm making a golden fleece, which is really cool, ancient.
you're working on
Jason
an ancient
and-
golden fleece.
Jason and the Argonauts and all that. But
One of the
I
greatest
actually
shows
have-
ever.
I'm going to have one that will look exactly like golden fleece, but it's made of cement.
If anybody can do it, you can, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can put it in your can along with the turtle head.
There you go. That's right. Before the next song, if anybody, next time you go to the men's room here at Rafters Tavern, be careful at the urinal because you'll notice that there's a massive snapping turtle head to the left of where your
urination with
your family jewels are. So be careful there. And that invention was a gift from Dan. Tremendous there. I meant to put a plaque underneath it, and I'll get to it. It's coming.
Yeah, just make sure it's, resistant to, urine.
A urine-resistant plaque. Absolutely. All right. What's your next song?
We're going to do a song called Rivertown, and it was actually written right here in Callicoon. I mean, we love where we live. Thomas is very connected to his place as we are to ours, and the river runs through it all. And so this is our tribute to our town here. 3, 4.
Another favorite of mine. There-
It's a competition.
It is competition. I got more sounds going on here.
Wow, Steve Gonzalez.
I got all the sounds over here.
That's what you and Molly use at night to sleep, right? You turn that on and it helps ease your day.
Yes, it's a gentle lulling to sleep. I lean over and I say good night. to you all.
And Dan always blows that horn when it's bedtime for me.
Yeah, it's better than
That's great.
some of the sounds.
I have a feeling we're cut from the same cloth.
We have a neighbor that's so loud with music that anything's better.
All right, I have one more question, and then we have time for one more song,
Okay.
and then we will be complete. My last question is, since you guys have been playing for nearly a decade together,
Yes.
and that's a long time, what gig did you ever have? What is you universally talk about the worst gig you ever had? It was so bad. It was like it goes down in your history as the worst gig you ever
I
had.
actually wrote a song about that. But we're not going to play it tonight.
What's the story?
Which one would it be though? There's a couple of them.
There's a couple. There's the one where we were playing outdoors in one of those pop-up tents,
Right.
and a big strong wind came and lifted the whole tent up. But I have to tell you that they're so professional, they just kept on playing. I mean, the tent blew away.
We didn't even bat an eye.
Well, they kept playing on the Titanic too.
Yeah, exactly.
We played in Arizona and we had a dog with us and he got in a fight with another dog. A bad fight, and we just kept playing it. Like it's not our dog.
Right.
We don't know who this is. But
We also, I think there was the same place. We played another night there, and the place went on fire.
yeah.
There was
We
a
kept
there was a
playing.
big fireplace, and there was these huge logs in it, and someone had thrown something that wasn't supposed to go into a fireplace in there, and it like exploded, and all of a sudden the whole room just filled up with smoke, and people were running, and we just kept playing.
Yeah, just stay calm. That's always the answer to life.
So basically, what I'm hearing from you guys is there are no bad gigs. You
No.
just keep going. Nothing will stop
It's all
you.
material.
You can't be
It's
stopped.
material.
All right.
I rigged up a boat to play on the river, which I am going to do that, and I think it would be really cool. But that one didn't work out.
Not yet. I'm sure you'll keep at it.
It's got to
Yes.
stay afloat before you can play on it.
Well, does it though?
Oh, maybe.
The Titanic didn't.
The
right?
Titanic didn't, and they had a great band.
Yeah.
Okay. Highly rated.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to ask them what their worst gig is.
Are we sure we're doing this song here? This
Yes,
is,
we are. We're doing this song because Thomas requested that we do this song.
All right.
But anyway, this song was written during quarantine, and I was just thinking about how many people have lost their jobs, and how life has changed dramatically for so many people. But in the long run, it may not be such a bad thing. I mean, if you could get through it and come out the other side, you might be a nicer person. Anyway, this is called "When I Used to Give a Damn."
All right.
I really like Caswin's interview, though. You know, I love the way he just ignored your questions.
Well, he said he would. I asked him, is there anything you don't want me to ask? And he said, feel free to ask whatever you want. I may not answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, okay.
Well, we did answer your question.
He has a very cool attitude with that.
He sure does.
Okay, here, I'll see if I can get through.
Great.
I used to get up early, be out the door. I used to be in a hurry. I ain't no more. I wouldn't stay up even when I can. No time to smell the coffee, take a ride. No time to walk with my baby by my side. I used to try my best to be one hell of a lady. Gotta break loose, gotta get away. Nothing's for sure,
the horn. There we go. Waiting for the horn. All right. Well, another fantastic song.
Thank you.
As always, you guys are some of my favorites. I also want to send a shout out there, a big thank you to Sandra Carey, who is almost single-handedly keeping us afloat. I don't know. She donates money. She says she hasn't been drinking as much lattes or cappuccinos. I forget what you said, but she's been sending us her cappuccino or latte money when she enjoys the show. And I keep telling her, you got to save yourself. But she's choosing to save us instead. And
Well,
we're
we need-
very grateful for that. So
We're
big
very
thank you to
grateful for
Sandra
you
Carey.
to be here.
And that is our show for tonight. I would like everybody out there who's watching, if you're in your living room, if you're on the phone somewhere, regardless of where you are, I would like you to give a big round of applause to Poison Love right now. Don't be embarrassed that you're by yourself. It's all right. Big round of
Thank you.
applause.
Thank you.
Thank you once
First,
again.
I
to
want to
Poison
thank
Love.
you, and you're going to come back from this bigger and better than ever.
We are
Absolutely.
keeping our
Thank you
fingers
so
crossed.
much.
We'll all stick together. All right.
Okay, bye.
And Molly's going to end it, and bam,
Bam.
Done.
done.
There's no sound
Okay.
effect for that bam.